Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to another exciting episode of Honest Trailers Commentaries. This week, G.I. Joes, Uno and Dos. I'm here with Lon Harris. Just two Joes today.
Yeah.
Minus
like
Joe Star.
One and two. It's America counting. None of this Mexico counting.
Yeah, this is a real Well, but it's
Yeah.
actually a multi-international kind of a deep state thing. We'll get into it. We're gonna watch. We're gonna watch GI Joe, the Honest Trailer. Give you our behind-the-scenes thoughts. Show you some deleted scenes. Respond to comments and questions from viewers like you. So keep them coming in the chat, and we'll tease you with next week's Honest Trailer. Probably the one you were hoping for, but it takes us a little longer to get to that. Yeah, whatever. Nice. We're celebrating the release of Snake Eyes, okay?
Remember Snake Eyes? That movie that came out a few weeks ago?
A week or two ago. And
it's already ancient history.
I'm also wearing Fandom's new hat logo. Fandom's new logo on a hat. So you might notice a few different little graphical tweaks around these sites. And I don't know if you can buy this or just send me $20 on Cash App and I will send you this hat. That's a promise.
Where won't. You get your Fandom merch?
And it's
yeah. So yeah, we'll do a swag box unboxing. It's like strewn on my couch back there later if that's the kind of content you crave. But for now, we're going to talk about G.I. Joe. Two movies I had purposefully avoided because I heard they were bad and they looked dumb, but then I knew I'd have to watch it for work eventually, and here we are. The day has come. They were silly. I kind of liked the first one in a very dumb like kid playing with their toys kind of way. It really did feel like they filmed a 9-year-old playing with his G.I. Joes and just transcribed everything he said or did, because it's just like, and now the Baroness shows up in a helicopter and shoots Snake Eyes, and Snake Eyes fights back with a sword. Like, it had the logic of a kid playing with toys. And then the second one just seemed like they were trying to ground it more and make it a little bit more real, and they kind of had a good thing going with Channing and The Rock, but then he bounces after 10 minutes. It was a mess. Lon, what do you feel about the whole franchise?
Well, that's what's weird, is I feel like the story, like among people, the word on the street is that the second one is the superior film, but I don't feel that way at all, especially after revisiting them. The first one is, I mean, crazy and dumb, and it kind of does the Patton Oswalt thing of like, oh, you like Cobra Commander? Well, this is about him when he's just a regular guy. Like, you know, it's like, why do I want to see that? Just like, it should start and he's already Cobra Commander. Like, we don't need it's so weird that all of these movies kind of go, including Snake Eyes. It's so weird that they're always like, show us the beginning of
You need to know
Joe.
that Cobra Commander is Duke's stepbrother.
Yeah, it's exactly like X-Men in this way, where the movies are always like, before they were the X-Men, they were just these 8 morons. And it's like, I don't skip that part. I don't care. Like, open with them and they're already the X-Men. And I feel the same way. Like, this should just be Joes going on a mission and they're already the Joes. I don't care about the lead-in.
The first one is very much that, and like they just keep throwing Joes at you, like they just keep popping out of the woodwork.
But I like that. In the first one, it feels like you're getting, like, these two guys are sort of sucked into the world of Joes that pre-exists, and you've got Dennis Quaid, and you've got all of these various people, and none of them have very much to do. They all just kind of stand around, but at least it does feel like the world of G.I. Joe already is happening, and there are fights and weapons and toys and whatever.
Yeah.
The second one is just oddly like, it can't decide if it's just a war movie or if it's a G.I. Joe crazy over the top sci-fi spectacle thing, and it kind of tries to weirdly straddle until the end. I get to the third act, it kind of is like, forget it, and becomes a G.I.
and
Joe.
I thought they were actually off to a good start. Like there was kind of a good chemistry between Channing Tatum and The Rock. It's like, okay, it's like a buddy action movie, and like,
right, you have to forget the continuity. Like the beginning of part 2 makes no sense. In part 1, Channing Tatum's brand new to the world of G.I. Joe, and his best friend is Marlon Wayans. And then in part 2, Marlon Wayans gone, unceremoniously removed, Ja Rule, Fast and Furious style, just never mentioned again. But Channing Tatum's pretending that he's like lifelong friends with Roadblock now, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who we've never seen before. And presumably they just met, because the timeline doesn't make sense, because so Zartan has been posing as the president that whole time. Like, Zartan was already posing as the president before Channing Tatum met The Rock. So how many terms is he serving? He's already Uncle Duke. How does that timeline work out? Explain it to me.
Yeah.
John M. Chu, you can't.
The other just overall thing that I don't know if we really get into is just like, maybe it's just because I'm watching this on a small screen, but the action has not held up well. I mean, I feel like that when they get the robot suits and that chase is okay, but everything really looks like a PlayStation 2 to be charitable cutscene.
I agree, except I think there's one very notable exception, and it is in Retaliation. The escape with Storm Shadow's unconscious body from
where
the mountain monastery where they're swinging away from the other ninjas. That part is legitimately cool. And I feel like that part was like, that's where the idea for Snake Eyes came from, was like, that's obviously the best part. Why don't we just make the movie about that guy?
Yeah.
But then they were like, but maybe it should be an origin again. It's like, no! And we've got 3 movies about the history of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, and it's like they were friends and then they fought. That's it.
If you have to make a Snake Eyes movie, the entire thing should be about him trying to get up a cliff with other ninjas trying to not let him do that.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Right. It's like The Raid, but up a cliff instead of in a building.
Yeah. Anyways, there's plenty more to say, I'm sure. Let's watch.
I also like one more thing before we get to it. They gave the entire backstory in Retaliation to RZA. That's the guy you want narrated. But for some reason, he's the one who tells us the entire history of Snake Eyes and Storm.
Which we already got in Rise of Cobra, which is just a flashback of 2 children beating the ever-loving shit out of each other.
Beating the crap out of each other, as one does.
All right, let's play. We'll get to that part.
That's okay.
From the company behind all the worst Toy Stories comes the exciting prologue to the G.I. Joe franchise, and also the other exciting prologue to the G.I. Joe franchise after that first one didn't hit. Because after 2 films showing us how it all began, it's time for the Joeverse to get another exciting prologue again. Knowing is half the battle. The other half is knowing when the battle's supposed to start. G.I. Joe 1 and 2. Remember the classic G.I. Joe cartoon and action figures? Kinda before your time? Okay, well, they made 2 movies about the guys from the Pork Chop Sandwiches video.
Pork Chop Sandwiches!
I mean, that is the most... That's got to be the G.I. Joe cultural peak within the last 10 years, right? More so than the movies. Fensler films.
I always like I don't have a good sense for this. Like when we were talking about Space Jam 2 originally, I was like, how do kids today, do they know Looney Tunes? Like I feel like that's out of time. And then people were like, no, you idiot, you complete moron. The Looney Tunes were on Cartoon Network recently and had a popular show. So I don't know, maybe there's a new G.I. Joe thing that has brought younger generations on board. It does seem like there must be newer toys that kids are into today.
Hasbro's other toys, I mean, I know they have, they've got Transformers.
Well, sure. And those have remained popular. Like, the kids still like Transformers.
Yeah, they've got the Power Rangers, so they've tried there.
Also still popular, like an ongoing franchise.
Rom the Space Knight. That sounds sweet.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
They've got Furby. How is there no Furby movie?
I'm sure all of these things are in the works.
And
are they also Stretch Armstrong? Isn't that always a thing you hear about every few years? There's going to be a Stretch Armstrong movie.
Yep. They got that. They got Beyblade. They got Nerf. This just makes me want to play with toys. That's way more fun than watching this movie.
Movies based on toys. Well, yeah, it's like they're designed to be done. But I don't know. I feel like they're overcomplicated. I feel like G.I. Joe, of all of these franchises we mentioned, is probably the one that's the most movie ready. Like you got to kind of thread the needle of it's military war stuff, but you want it to be okay for kids, which they don't really do with these movies. They just make them violent and they're like,
pretty grisly
blood
at points.
Spraying everywhere, but they're pretty violent. But other than that, it's like, well, that's easy. They're just like a military group and they fight this terrorist organization and you just
and they tell children not to touch. They tell children not to touch down power lines.
Yeah, like don't talk to strangers unless they're members of the G.I. Joe crew, and then it's okay. They just want to offer you a body massage.
Yeah,
and they're like Team America, but without the jokes.
That is true.
Damn, I missed him.
Also, before your time, Well, I don't know what to tell you then. Is Serpentor in Fortnite? But with the same company as the Transformers toys behind the project, they're gonna follow that same old formula, mixing generic military dudes and hot military babes with a bunch of CGI nonsense. Yet it never really comes together. See, Michael Bay knew that the secret sauce was racist robots.
What are we gonna do with this shrimp
No,
taco?
just bump a cap in his ass, throw him in the truck, and then nobody gonna know nothing, I mean.
I do Mudflap. I do. Weighs 2 hours.
Wonder how many
meeting
times we've
Channing
used that
Tatum as
clip.
Dude, a performance with all the easygoing charm of a man who's
It has
there against his
everything, a little
will.
bit of everything.
Detail, attention.
Because he was.
I hate that movie. So I was pushed into doing that movie.
He's playing
Oh,
a
it's-
sad potato.
It's kind of a fascinating backstory. I don't know if it's sad, but it's just like Channing Tatum, he's a breakout star and he signs like a 3-picture deal with whoever made this, Paramount, something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, they're like, okay, here's your second movie with us. It's G.I. Joe, and the script sucks, but you have to do it because you signed up for 3 movies.
Right.
And
You're
it's like,
Duke now.
You're Duke now. He's like, I don't want to do this movie. He's like, sorry, that you signed up for 3 generic movies that we want to make, and this is the one we want to make. But why would the studio want to do that? Like, why would they put somebody in a movie that doesn't want to be there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this is it, we've seen it so much more. Like there was just this whole debate the other day about Iron Man, and there was that tweet about like could anybody have played Iron Man? And I think increasingly we're seeing studios they think of actors as just pawns. Like here are my pieces, and I plug them into these projects, and the brands are the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't even think they're thinking about, is Channing Tatum like right for the role, or he's like a big burly guy who looks like he could be in the military. We want to make this military movie. Like that piece goes there. It may not have been any deeper than that.
No, it wasn't any deeper than that.
You can tell immediately, like he's a good actor in a lot of movies, but he is not good at acting like he wants to be in this movie. Like it's obvious from minute one. Like we saw that I made that note of a 10 hut. Like that's not how a guy in the military says a 10 hut.
He gives a more convincing military performance in Magic Mike.
Right.
And they all strip in the Uncle Sam costumes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like, if you can't get anything out of him, it's not worth putting him in there just because he looks right,
Yeah. It's too bad because I feel like other actors, though, because he has it in him to be charming and like a good action hero and stuff like that, that like he wouldn't just make the best of it and be like, all right, I'm going to Nick Cage it. I'm going to give it my all in this crappy movie.
Get that it's there is not a character there. They've done this very weird thing in the first movie where they've made Duke, instead of a character, he's like the hub at the center. The entire G.I. Joe universe oddly revolves around this guy. He used to date Baroness, the woman who becomes Baroness. Her brother, who was his best friend, becomes Cobra Commander. It's like all of these weird personal connections, and then only to dump him entirely in the second movie. Yeah. So it was pointless. But it's that instead of him actually getting a personality.
And even as a character,
how that would be a bummer.
He has no real loyalty or backstory save for his relationship with Baroness, because I don't know, he's a career military guy, probably a hardened patriot or something like that, and he goes into like an underground James Bond base under the pyramids, and he's like, all right, see ya, U.S. military. I'm joining up with these guys.
Yeah, there's no there's no inner life there, and I'm sure as an actor that's what was frustrating to him. It's just like I'm just constantly reacting to people explaining their connection to me, which is not an interesting thing to play. It's just like
I'm just realizing when we meet him, he's telling Marlon Wayans like, you can't even leave the Army for the Air Force. Like that's a cowardly move, and he leaves the American military for this international secret. Underground force that like
pseudo legal, like we never really pseudo. Like under whose auspices are the Joes serving
the president, but they're like the U.S. president, but they're based in Egypt, and they and they get arrested by the French police.
and then the second movie introduces the idea that they were founded by a still active general. Mm-hmm. Played by Bruce Willis, who's just appears to have been some guy. Like, why is this entire unit named after him? We never even get an answer.
Yeah.
It's just like, he was the first Joe. All right.
Careful, they're going to make another prequel out of that. All right, keep going.
It'll be the John McClane prequel and the G.I. Joe prequel.
Sad potato who ghosted his fiancée after getting her little brother killed, yet we're still supposed to like him.
Later.
But not for too long, because he's only in the sequel for 10 minutes before he hands it off to his oldest pal, The Rock?
Uncle Duke, you have big ears.
Uncle Duke? Wait, wasn't his lifelong best friend Marlon Wayans? What happened to Ripcord? Did all the workplace sexual harassment finally catch up with him?
I'm attracted to you. When I get a target in my sights, pew, take it down. We are tough, but we're also sensitive.
Watch The Rock's reputation
Guys,
as
don't do
franchise
that when you're new
Viagra
in the
go
workplace.
down like a flaccid
Yeah.
windsock. And
not
he's getting
funny.
zero help
Not
from
funny.
Ray Park in yet another voiceless role. Bruce Willis doing the least to collect his check, as is tradition. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, for the first movie at least, as My Chemical Cobra Commander, the inspiration for Deadpool's makeup design.
Like a testicle with teeth.
Right along with two stories that feel like they were stolen from a little boy's notebook margins, featuring twists like Bad Lady Good Now, Good Guy Bad Now, and uh-oh, Bad Guy Good Guy, in scripts that fail all the way down to the sentence structure.
G.I. Joes are about to be out of the picture. And by out of the picture, I mean alive on Earth.
That's not what out of the picture means.
Pause.
Think war.
Did we get that wrong? Like, how does that line make it through the movie? By the way, there's a lot of Jonathan Pryce in both of these films,
Yes,
and I don't
it's a
mind.
surprising amount of Jonathan Pryce in both of these films. Here's what I think happened. Every character has the same way of speaking. Like, I don't mean everybody's got the same approach, which is like, I'm super arrogant, I'm extremely confident, and I'm like taunting my adversary in this really like snarky bullying way. And this includes good guys. Like, everybody acts like that towards everybody else. It's just the good guys are like, they have a heart of gold. Like they want the best for the world. They're just personally kind of a jerk.
Everybody's talking like a 9-year-old's idea,
Right.
like a badass talk.
Exactly. Everybody's talking like what a kid's idea of a confident adult sounds like. And so I guess it's just like, how do you write whole interactions that just hold that beat and that tone the whole time? You end up with lines of dialogue like that, where it's like, wait, is that clever? I can't even tell what that character means right there.
There's I always think about The Onion back when they were making like very insanely well produced, expensive videos for YouTube. They Today Now interviews the 5-year-old screenwriter of Fast and Furious. It's just like, it seems like it was written by a child, and
all the speeches are like, you thought that's what I was going to do,
but it's not.
But in fact, and then like 8 more planes arrive. And, it's always it's
now it's my turn.
Right.
Let's fight.
The same ridiculous stuff over and over.
You love to see it. All right, keep going.
Think war toys are just for the boys? So does Hasbro. But dang it, they're gonna do their best to sneak in some ladies where they can.
Girl Scout to secretary. Amazing.
Awkwardly.
Don't make me shoot a woman.
Get out!
Nice shoes.
Very awkwardly.
Goodbye, sweetheart. That's right. You don't kill women.
He didn't want to put his life in the hands of a woman.
Really very awkwardly.
Amy Vandervoort, Fox News.
Oh, Fox, of course. That's why you look so fair and balanced.
Very cute.
You think it doesn't.
So long as they still promise to.
Yeah, this is just a holdover from I'm sure the studio saying like, we gotta make another Transformers. What does Transformers have? They got Megan Fox in a little pair of shorts.
It's so you like feel this tension. Especially, this is more true, I think, of Cobra, the Rise of Cobra, than Retaliation. But it's true. It's kind of true both. You feel them like, well, we can't just not have women. Like we'll get in trouble. We have to have some female Joes. We have to have some characters for girls to come get into that are heroes and doing badass stuff. So they know they've got to do the right thing and do it, but they don't feel like right about it. Like they can't just put a woman in there and have her fighting alongside the boy characters as their equal. That would break everybody's brain. So they've got to like make all of these weird, like, well, maybe they get harassed, or maybe they're in skin tight leather the whole time, or maybe the girls only fight the other girls while the guys work out their stuff separately. And it's just
and
like,
the guys are constantly in like a flop sweat, like I can't hit
like,
you, but we
oh,
can
kill a
kiss.
woman. And it's just like, why not? Like, you're in a world that's so ludicrous anyway. Like a woman fighting alongside a man actually happens in real combat. That's not crazy at all.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of panic behind the scenes.
So much, and it's like you just don't. This is such a ludicrous world anyway. Nobody's questioning the reality. Just have the women in there.
Yeah, there's a fighter plane that speaks Welsh in this movie, right? Gaelic.
Like that's the sticking point. It's like, well, we have to deal with the obvious gender disparity in a combat situation. You're like, no, you don't. Why are you engaging with this at all?
You have to engage with the fact that there's a fighter plane that only operates if you speak Gaelic to it.
Gaelic, yeah, because they would have just intuited that that's Christopher Eccleston's native tongue. Well, ludicrous. The whole thing is so ridiculous. That's another weird thing. There's a lot of, here's what we did very purposefully in part 1. And then part 2 comes in and they're just like, remember that thing for part 1? Forget it. Like, it's like in a grandiose way. Like Destro, they very purposefully set up in part 1. Christopher Eccleston, surprise twist, he's Destro. Yeah. They even give him his familiar metal head. They describe
why he's got a metal head. Yeah.
The whole thing. They leave him alive. He's in this cryo prison or whatever, this tank prison with Cobra Commander. And then as soon as Cobra Commander gets out, he's just like, forget it, Destro, you're dead to me. And then, like, that's it. Like, why even set that up? Like, you don't even need Christopher Eccleston. He's got a metal head. You could put anybody inside the metal head.
Oh, yes, you could.
It's like they did it just to frustrate people who like continuity in their movies.
Keep going.
Dress all sexy. And when a fight breaks out, only square off against the other woman, even if that means fighting an old lady.
Come on.
Experience 2 films that can't even do American propaganda right, where the army keeps getting its ass handed to them, bombs their own troops, and doesn't notice when their own president gets swapped with a shapeshifter for months. Meanwhile, the Joes do nothing but get beat up, have their stolen, get arrested, and let everyone in London die. Like 9 million people dead. Sorry, Big Ben. So before you see Snake Eyes and
before you spoil
I guess I was just note.
What's that?
Apologizing to British
Ben,
Joe Big Ben, yeah.
Yeah. I really, if I expected one thing walking into this, like, this is going to be like U.S. imperial military propaganda. And they just look like it was very real in the sense that they're always blowing themselves up by accident. And they're just bungling operation after operation and pissing off the rest of the world. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, they get like worked until the very end. Like at the very end, they save the day, but they get just like pummeled to the ground before then in both movies. There's one, Ray Stevenson plays Firefly in Retaliation, the guy from Punisher Warzone, that guy, and he gets to kick The Rock's ass in this movie. Like, not just hit him a few times, like give him a pretty strong beatdown. And The Rock only survives that fight because other people come along and like they take out Firefly for him. He's like down for the count and about to be shot in the face. Like,
yeah.
That's commitment to the Joes losing a lot before they win.
They lose the Eiffel Tower, London and everyone in it. They lose the president to a shapeshifter for months and months and months, an untold number of years. And then like the whole thing that sets it off is like a botched raid in Iran or some stand-in military Middle Eastern country where they're like, they might have nukes maybe, so we're just going to invade and do this like smash and grab, and everything goes completely wrong. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is kind of holding up a mirror to U.S. foreign policy. I did not see that coming from G.I. Joe.
Is it Pakistan in the beginning?
Maybe.
I forget where they are.
Yeah, they're like, and
somewhere they should not be. They should not be.
The general's like, that place is a mess. It's just like basically a step away from a riot. We need to preemptively shoot everyone and grab their nukes, and then everything goes wrong.
I can't believe everything goes wrong from there, but
yeah. So there you go.
I also like Cobra's evil plan in Retaliation is like, it's like until the very end. Like most of the plan is just we want to nuclear disarm the entire world. At the very end, they're like, so that we can then take over. But up until then, it's like, good. Maybe Cobra's got the right idea in a weird way. They're like Grindelwalding this. Like, you're making some good points.
All right, keep going.
Or you see Snake Eyes and So before you scroll past Snake Eyes on some streaming service, revisit the films that already gave you a perfectly reasonable Snake Eyes origin story. He's a lost member of the Wu-Tang Clan.
But in order for me to bring him to justice, you must deliver him to me alive.
Who spent his entire childhood beating the crap out of another kid. Kid fight, 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 kid fight. Sadly, this is the best part of the whole franchise. Kid fight, kid fight, kid fight. Starring.
So pause. I was dying laughing that they kept cutting back to these two children beating the crap out of each other like it was fucking Gandalf and the Balrog going at it for like 5,000 years.
It almost feels like it's a Bloodsport reference. You know, there's that really long montage of Bloodsport where his master keeps like throwing him to the mat over and over again. Like I almost feel like this was a riff on that. Just like endless kids just throwing each other around the dojo.
Anytime they cut to Storm Shadow, first he's like spinning his ninja star, and then like he gets a far off look in his eye, and it cuts to two children beating the ever-loving crap out of each other. And they do that like 5 times in the first movie.
Yeah.
And Snake Eyes
and it worked so well, they were like,
improve on it.
They were like, that, make it a whole movie. Now it's a whole movie. Just put Henry Golding in those scenes, and he's beating up a child.
Seriously. Anyways, it got me every time because I was like, oh, are they still going to be fighting? And the answer was always yes.
Well, it's better. And that's the first movie. And in the second movie, they just have RZA tell us about what happened. And it's like, I go back to the kids fighting.
Yeah, let's go back to the kid fight. All right, keep going.
Keep waiting for Method Man to jump in.
G.I. Joe. Shh, I'm hunting cowboys. Inventor of the fidget spinner. The Price is Wrong. Dwayne the Walk Away from Explosions Johnson. Fight Chicks, ScarJo, My Trooper Ex-Girlfriend, The Quaid Redemption. We all live in the high-tech submarine, high-tech submarine, high-tech submarine. I'm gonna sew Storm Shadow's ass shut and just keep feeding him and feeding him.
I'm sorry, Danielle wasn't here for that one.
Brendan Fraser for one scene? Why? And more Cisco than the thong song.
Currently unknown, for one thing's for sure.
Only minor injuries to report, sir.
Knowing half the battle.
A lot of Cisco branding.
Oh, yeah.
Body massage origins. Wow, an exploding motorcycle you have to jump off of to use. That's probably the worst weapon in history.
Yeah, I found consistently there was Joe Tech that was worse than things in the real world. Like The Rock has like special gloves that get really hot to melt the fence.
Yeah, the fence. Yeah,
you can just clip it. It's fine. It's fine. You can cut it.
It's weird. You almost expect more like blatant attempts to sell you toys. Like there are a few where they'll like. There are a few where they'll be like, oh, is that the new? And then they'll like name the vehicle or whatever. And you can tell that's obviously the name of the toy, you know.
Yeah.
But like, there's not that much. And a lot of they don't do a lot visually to make the toys look awesome. Like I kept waiting for scenes where they'll be like, they're going to get on the boat. You're going to see how it like moves around and looks cool. And it's like, they really don't do a lot of that. Most of it just looks kind of generic, metallic, military.
The little laser boats at the end look very like episode 3 kind of dogfight-ish. But otherwise it looked like regular tanks and
it all kind of looks there's a weirdly generic vibe when you expect the opposite. Like one thing you expect is like big, colorful, showy vehicles. Like the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Out of the Shadows, when they introduced the turtle van, it's like you can tell they're like, we're gonna sell 1 million of these vans. Well, just wait. These kids aren't gonna know what to do with themselves. Yeah. And there isn't that. I kept waiting for that sequence, and because it would have been fun to make fun of, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Just going back through my notes on these movies, Walton Goggins, he's in this. He's trying. He's doing something.
Very good at the one kind of dialogue everyone gets. Like I feel like the G.I. Joe dialogue as written, where it's like, I'm like a cocky piece of crap. Like I'm kind of funny, but I know how funny I am, and like he's very at home in that zone. So it's a piece of casting that works well.
Yeah. All right. Let's see some deleted scenes. What do we cut out of this one?
That's not what out of the picture means.
The ice pack's coming down.
I'm sorry, the ice pack's coming down?
What?
You're saying the ice is sinking. In water? I want you to go home and think about what you just said. Starring Tragic Mike, Duke Flukum.
My name is Duke.
Silent but violent. Ninjagoff. The definitely got high for this sparrow. President Evil. Blockers. Hobbs and Y'all. Planes, weigh-ins, and automobiles. Blade. It was Miss Scarlet with the laser gun in the laboratory. Say yes to the Baroness. Atomic former blonde. Dollar General. Cash rules everything around Miyagi. RZA's Al Ghul. Bane and Gain. Dr. Evil. Super Troopers. Goof Troop. Can we get a wellness check on Bruce Willis? I don't think a guy that sad should have a house made of guns.
Open up that couch.
What a weird scene that is. That whole scene is so weird.
Yeah, it's odd.
Like, he's a retired general just living in like suburbia. Why does he think he needs grenades in his fruit bowl?
Well, because he's clearly got PTSD and thinks that the war's still going. I mean, the way that scene escalates is like, okay, he's got like a hidden gun locker, sure, but then as it
buy. If he was like, I still keep some guns around the house, like in my garage or whatever, like that I could buy. But like the whole house having like he's waiting for any moment people are going to come. Does he think he's?
It's just funny the way it progresses from like hidden secret guns to like, okay, there's guns in every cabinet to like, okay, the apple is now a gun. And
it's like Pee-wee's
look over there.
Playhouse,
Look back. I'm now a gun.
Yeah, everything is a gun. Like it's just like instead of the furniture all being alive, it's just everything's made of guns.
Yeah. Oh, good times. Good times.
It's like those cake where everything on the internet is cake. It's like that except guns. Like this couch is a gun.
Becomes a gun. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Click all the little dingles and dongles all around this video, and you'll never miss another one because we will be back for another episode after we do these comments and questions from you guys. Keep them coming in the chat. Adam Hulbert writes, hearing how Channing Tatum hated being in the first movie, what actor would you save from being in a terrible film? Anyone you would pull out of a film like, you don't have to do this, man. It's okay.
I mean, I don't know. A lot like sometimes good actors showing up in terrible movies is like that's the fun part. Like I wouldn't rob myself of that experience.
Yeah.
Like there were so many good actors in Gunpowder Milkshake. Did you watch that on Netflix?
Not yet.
It's not. I didn't like it very much. But the only thing that's fun about it is the actors are in there having a good time. So I wouldn't rob Michelle Yeoh of that experience or Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd gosh, I mean, Halle Berry, I'd pull her out of Catwoman. You know, she doesn't have to do that. It's okay.
But then she had her great Razzie moment. She would lose her historic accepting her own Razzie award.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. It's fun when actors have to do terrible films.
Yeah. Let us have this. Let us have this one.
Yeah. One more, several more fan questions coming up, but Ryan has helpfully reminded me. Do you like watching things along with us? Clearly you do, because you're watching this show. And this Friday, we're all going to watch the Suicide Squad together, Friday afternoon.
That's the Suicide Squad. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
So you, if you were around for the Snyder Cut one, you know the drill. We'll have some fun during it, and we will all press play at the same time, and have us on as well, and we'll be like a unprepared commentary track, watching all along. So if you're not going to see it in theaters or with a friend, watch it with us. We're gonna.
Or if you saw it Thursday night in theaters and you want to revisit it,
there
and you don't mind people talking over it, this would be perfect. Yeah,
perfect. Okay, let's see. Max Taylor asks, what's the most used clip you've ever done? It's got to be Alan, right? If that counts.
Yes, the Alan Raptor from Jurassic Park 3 popped up in so many classic.
The circle shot of the Avengers is in like every Avengers one.
I believe and Ryan, I thought of this and then Ryan posted in the chat. This is Katana. She's got my back. Has also made numerous appearances.
Yeah, Hunka as well.
Yeah, yes, that's right. It's multiple Ayer cut suicides. Well, no, I'm sorry. The Warner Brothers cut, not the Ayer cut.
Yeah. Let's see. This one's tough. Evan J. Pretzer asks, "What movie funeral set in the rain is actually good?" There are a lot. I don't know. They all blend together, so I guess they're kind of a wash.
Funeral set in the rain. I can't trying to think specifically.
It's just so cliche. Like I don't know. I'm trying to think of any good movie funeral scene.
Watchmen has that one that
I'm sure it does.
To go to Snyder immediately, as one always does.
Yeah. Okay. Luis Valenzuela asked, "Would the Snake Eyes movie have been better with kid fights?" Yes. In fact,
I mean, I haven't seen the Snake Eyes standalone movie, but yes, it would be better with more. I mean, maybe it has them. Have you seen it, Spencer? Like it?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if he flashed back to himself fighting Storm Shadow as a child.
I can say without spoiling too much, there's not a lot of kid fights. I would say it's kid fight lacking.
What a shame. What a shame.
Yeah, really losing the heart and soul of the formula right there. That's the whole franchise.
Yeah. Let's see. Pat Magana asks, "What's the best TV or film adaptation of an 80s toy?" What else do we have out there? I mean, there's Transformers. He says Transformers the motion picture. He says, sorry, I got that abbreviation wrong. The Masters of the Universe show.
The TV, MOTU, the Filmation show, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You know what? I really liked that cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters. You remember that one?
Yeah.
I guess those were sort of based on the Ghostbuster toys, weren't they? I know they had a toy line. I don't know if they were based on the toys or they were based on the movie and then the toys were based on the cartoon show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some... I like the Power Rangers reboot. That's pretty good. Bumblebee, if you count that for Transformers.
Really not a lot of great toy-inspired movies. Toys they don't have compelling backstories.
My Little Pony, it's
the point is the kid, they want you to come up with the backstory.
Yeah. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Whether you love it or hate it, it's definitely it's doing its thing. It kind of set the tone for a whole generation of cartoons. All right, final question. Let's see, what should we do here? Do you want to talk about food or yourself, Lon? What would you prefer?
Oh, food. Definitely.
Food, okay. Reynard City Update Channel asks, "What are your tips for eating at a buffet?" And I gotta say, mine are don't.
In the era of COVID, are you kidding? Don't ever go to a buffet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if we'll ever buffet again, right? I mean, for me, it's multiple trips because back in the days of when we did things like that together, I would say I go for savory and then I go for sweet and then I go for thirds of whatever I liked from those two. I don't try to get the one massive plate. Because it's a buffet, you can go. That's the joy to me. Is okay, that was a good plate. Now I'm going to go back and see what else I can find.
Right.
This is a personal preference. I don't really have tips, though.
I do think that people tend to make the mistake of going for very filling things early that are delicious instead of pacing yourself and treating it like it's still a meal. So you start, maybe a little lighter and you build to the mac and cheeses, the mashed potatoes, the very heavy dishes. And so that's what I would say is whet your appetite by starting with lighter fare and then move into the heavier fare over the course of the buffet meal.
Yeah. I mean, and this is more of a fancy buffet thing, but I'm a sucker for an omelet bar, man. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
How are their omelets so much better than anything you could possibly make at home? They're just so good and so fast.
I think part of it is the seeing it being prepared. You take this moment to become hungry and anticipate how good the omelet is going to be, which then helps your omelet experience.
It does help your omelet experience.
100%. It's true. It's the same thing with going to a movie theater. One of the things that is intangible about it is the moments where you're in line to buy popcorn, you're sitting in your seat, it's getting dark, the Maria Menounos is talking at you or whatever. You're building up your anticipation. You're getting in the mindset to watch a movie, whereas when you throw something on Netflix, it's just on. There's no spectacle to it. I think that matters psychologically.
The spectacle does matter. You taste with your eyes. So there you go. You brought it from food to movies. Thank you, Lon. And that wraps up our time for today. A lot of good questions, though. We'll get to them next week. And when we do the following film, it's one that you want to see, but you're gonna have to trust us. gonna have to trust us. That's your clue for next week. We hope you'll be back, not just for that, but for our Suicide Squad party this Friday. We'll let you know more as we know more. We'll see you then. Thanks, Lon. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.